In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate index numbers for productivity, which will allow us to compare UK productivity with that of the other G7 economies. So let's first of all look at the definition of an index number. An index number is a way of comparing the value of productivity for one country using the UK as a base or comparison country. So to calculate the index number for country I at date T, we would take the ratio of productivity, here Y for country I at date T, divide that by the level of productivity for the UK at date T and multiply by 100. For example, suppose we want to calculate an index number for US productivity in 1995 using the UK as the base country. The productivity for the US in 1995 was $44.8 per hour. Productivity for the UK in 1995 was $36.8 per hour. So if we take the ratio of those two numbers and multiply by 100, we get a value of 121.7. And this tells us that productivity in the US was 21.7% higher than for the UK in 1995. We now want to repeat these calculations for all the G7 countries for the 3 years for which we got data, 1995, 2007 and 2015. So to do that, I've got the data set up in a spreadsheet here, and I'm going to first of all type in the formulas to calculate productivity for Canada for these 3 years. So for 1995 we have 100 multiplied by the productivity for Canada in 1995, and then I'm going to divide that by the productivity for the UK, which I'm going to type in directly as 36.8. Now I'm going to repeat this calculation for the other 2 years. So we've got 100 multiplied by this cell here, then divide that by productivity for the UK, 47.2, and then finally for 2015 I've got 100 multiplied by this cell divided by 47.8. Now I can copy this row downwards here and fill in all the cells immediately, so highlighting that and dragging down. I now have measures of productivity or index numbers for productivity using the UK as a base for all the countries for the 3 years. Notice that the productivity measure for the UK is always equal to 100. That's because we've set the UK as our base or comparison country for the purposes of calculating these index numbers. Now we notice from this that the productivity gap between the UK and the other countries is reasonably stable over time. For example, if we take the US, we see that the US always has higher productivity than the UK, but the gap has tended to increase somewhat, particularly in the final year 2015, and this may be due to the fact that UK productivity has flatlined since 2007, whereas it's continued to rise slightly for the US. Similarly, we note that productivity comparison with Germany, productivity got slightly closer during 2007. So you see the productivity gap here fell from 25% in 1995 to 19.3% in 2007. But again, it's gone up slightly again to 23.4% in 2015. And again, that may reflect the UK's relatively poor performance since 2007. We observe a similar pattern for France and also for Canada, where UK was productivity actually rose above that in Canada in 2007, but has fallen back again, so that the productivity index for Canada is now 101.7 in 2015. Productivity for the UK is always higher than that for Japan, but again the productivity gap has narrowed in 2015, indicating that Japan has got closer to the UK values. And for Italy, however, we see that productivity started high in Italy in 1995, but has since fallen back and is now slightly below that of the UK.